All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a huge shift that's happening in marketing, and it's all being driven by generative AI. We're going to break down how one global giant is completely rewriting the rules of the game.
Okay, let's just pause on this for a second. This quote really gets to the heart of it. We're not talking about just doing the same old stuff faster. This is about a fundamental change in how marketing even works. It's the big idea we're going to unpack together.
Right, sounds great on paper, doesn't it? But what does that actually mean when the rubber hits the road inside a huge company? How do you take a bold idea like that and turn it into something real? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out.
So, to really get this story, we've got to look at the core strategy. I mean, what does it actually take to rewrite the rules for a massive global marketing team? It all starts with one really important concept.
And that brings us to this key term, scaling GenAI. Now, we're not just talking about a couple of marketers playing around with a new tool. No, this is about systematically weaving AI into the very DNA of a global marketing department to completely change how people work, every single day.
Okay, so why bother? Why go through all this trouble? You really have to look at the pressures that are making this kind of change not just a nice-to-have, but an absolute necessity.
You know, it's like a perfect storm hitting marketers from all sides. They're expected to somehow get a handle on all these new AI tools while also being told to be more efficient and cut costs. And on top of all that, they're supposed to find more time for the big picture, creative thinking that really makes a difference. Doing all of that across the entire globe, yeah, that's a huge challenge.
So, a challenge this huge, you can't tackle it alone. And that's where this really interesting team-up comes into play. Let's meet the people who decided to take this on.
Now, this is what I think is so cool about their approach. Look at the team they put together. You've got Reckitt, this giant consumer goods company, bringing in their Chief of Insights and Analytics, Elaine Rodrigo, plus their Head of IT and Digital, Bessie-Ann Parizeau. Then they partner with Henry Leon from BCG, who brings that high-level strategic thinking. It's that blend analytics, digital backbone, and strategy. That was the secret sauce.
All right, this is the part you've been waiting for, the results. Because talk is cheap, right? Let's look at the hard numbers that prove just how big of an impact this transformation really had.
First up, get this, 40%. They unlocked up to 40% of their marketers' time. Just let that sink in for a minute. That's almost 2 full days of a 5-day work week that just got handed back to the team. Time they can now spend on strategy and actual creativity instead of tedious tasks.
And it doesn't stop there. On top of that, they saw up to 60% in efficiency gains. That's just incredible. It means that the work itself got dramatically faster and smoother, which, as you can imagine, leads to massive savings in both time and money.
Okay, those numbers are amazing, no doubt. But what does it all mean for you? The real gold here is in understanding how they actually did it. So let's shift gears and look at how their journey can literally be a blueprint for the rest of us.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. This is all about the practical takeaways. We're talking about the promised playbook, built from lessons learned the hard way, right from the front lines of this huge transformation.
So what's in this playbook? What did they really learn? Well, first, and this is so important, they found out you can't just throw a new tool at people and hope for the best. You have to totally redesign how work gets done around that tool. It wasn't about using AI to just, spit out some ad ideas. It was about embedding AI right into their creative briefing process itself, letting it chew on market data to generate initial concepts that the human marketers could then take to the next level. The tool has to serve the process. And second, they knew right away that this had to be a human-in-the-loop system. This was never about replacing marketers. It was about turning them into expert AI collaborators, training them to get really good at prompting, editing, and fact-checking what the AI produced. The big insight? Scaling AI is really about scaling your team's expertise to work with AI.
And that's the thing, right? This might be the story of Reckitt and BCG, but those lessons are universal. Redesigning your entire workflow, training your people to be expert collaborators, not just users. That's not just a strategy for one company. That is the roadmap. It shows the real finish line isn't just about being more efficient. It's about creating a smarter, more powerful partnership between your people and technology. And that's a model you can start thinking about, no matter how big or small your team is.
So we end right back where we started.
The old rulebook for marketing is being torn up and rewritten as we speak. Now that you've had a peek at the new one, the only question left is, are you and your organization ready to get in the game? Thanks for joining me.